Hey y'all, it's Addie here. I had originally recorded a massive 2.5 hour long video that went over my currently inked pens from last month and my plans for inking pens for this month, but I decided to save everyone and split this into 2 videos. This video is a review of the pens that I had inked since the end of March and general housekeeping to get ready for June's currently inked pens. But I do enough talking later, so let's go ahead and get started. If you watched my last currently inked video, you already know that I keep track of my currently inked pens by running a rolling sheet where I fill out a pen when I ink it, and I put a little piece of washi tape when I ink it with something else, or I clean it and put it back in the box. And last month we stopped right here. I had moved these over from my previous sheet, and so since the end of March, these pens, and these pens are all the pens that I have had inked. I also made a recent video about how I've decided to pull out the pens that I keep inked all the time onto this permanently inked sheet. If you haven't seen that video, all this is the pens that I have inked all the time, and not only all the time because some of these are also inked all the time, but all the time with specific inks, or at least very specific colors, because these are the pens that I keep in this case and that I use in my planner for task categories. So I've decided to pull those out because when I moved pens, frequently it would be one of the permanently inked ones, because I do tend to refill those and they stay the same. So I think that's going to reduce the amount of pens that I have to pull forward to the next month. And I'm going to see how that works out. And if it doesn't work out, I'll go back to just doing it this way. Anyway, we started. I want to do like a little review of the pens that I inked since then. So I'm going to pull this up a little bit. This is one of my planner pens. I ended up using up this lavender black. I really loved how this ink worked in this pen. It was a great combination. The pink, the change of pink to the darker red is always nice. I really like that one. This one looks terrible because the ink behind it bled through, but yeah, that was that. But this ink actually performed pretty well. It's a Nenita by Troublemaker. It's a heavy sheening ink, and it's odd because it's red and it throws kind of a green sheen. So it's grungy looking and that kind of thing. There were a few hard starts with it, but nothing terrible. This Darjeeling that I complained about last time, I didn't even make it through. I de-inked it and I put it away. I'm assuming that it is the nib that's a problem. So I have a video I want to do soon about some nib changing. I think there's 4 nibs I want to put on pens, and I may put it on this pen or I may put it on a different pen. But this nib, whatever is going on here, was no good. So that's completely taken out and it's in storage. This Himalaya version 1 Aurora Turquoise, really pretty color. I really enjoyed using this ink. And in fact, I ended up inking a different pen with it later on in the month because I liked it so much. This is the Gravitas that I got. It's a new pen, so I wrote new. And when I first got it, it came with a cartridge that was split I couldn't use. So the only appropriately sized cartridges that I had at the time were the ones that came in ink flight with the Faber-Castell pen. This turquoise, which is almost the same color, but this ink is drier than this ink. I got quite a bit of railroading with this. The Hongdian N23 was a star. I think I have 3 different inks in this, and Vinta performed really well in this, which is reassuring to me because Armada does not work very well in flex pens. I find that it leaks a lot, and I've tried it in a couple different flex pens, so I can't blame it on the pen. But in the Hongdian N23, this one here, the long blade worked really, really well. I enjoyed that quite a bit. Then the Silver Fox, beautiful, beautiful ink. I'm not sure why I didn't like it the first time I used it, but I really enjoyed using the Silver Fox. This is a beautiful color. And then so it's got a little star. This did not work well. Paper Plume, Oyster Gray. It was too wet in this pen. I may try it in a drier pen, but I didn't like this combination at all. The Jinhao 159 Fude nib, I thought wrote really well with Abalone, and I would like to try Troublemaker Abalone in one of the double broad point Kaweco Sports I got this month. But I don't like this pen because, and it's in this pile and I'm gonna clean it and de-ink it. The cap doesn't seal well enough. So even if I write, and it's a screw cap, yeah. Even if I write with it every day, it's still, I would have to prime it to get it to write. It doesn't seal well enough. And that's frustrating for me. And because it's a, I don't know, $10, $20 pen, it's not worth me fighting with it. It's a little heavy too, but yeah, the ink looked good. It makes me want to try putting it in a different broad point because there is some really nice, with the blue and the purple. Don't like that particular pen. And then this is one of my planner pens, so that's been moved to a permanently inked. The Lamy Safari Red 1.5 millimeter stub Vinta Tala is a beautiful dark blue shimmer ink that I loved using. There's just something about this 1.5 millimeter stub that is just wide enough. This is a 1.1, this is a 1.5. You wouldn't think it'd make a huge difference, but this is harder to write with for me. I want to use it for titling or something like that. I like having the 1.5 millimeter stub. I don't feel compelled to write with that size as much as a 1.1. The Noodler's Ahab Gray Fox with Vinta Kislap. I enjoyed using this. I still use this almost every day for journaling for the title, like the first title of the page. There's something about this pen, which people traditionally have issues with, and shimmer inks, they just get along. It works well. So once I'm done, I did purchase a bottle of the Vinta Black Bay, which I really enjoy this color. It's like a copper with a light blue. It's what I had in this pen before, but I have a sample of this Kislap. I wanted to try to use it up. I'm very happy with it. This is good. This is another Fountain Pen Revolution. This is I filled it with Scuttlebutt from Birmingham Pen Company. I enjoyed the color. I felt like the ink was a little dry, but I'm not sure. I want to try it in a different pen because I'm not sure if it's this pen or if it's the ink. But it had a pretty good amount of hard starts. The Gravitas, I had used up the ink from the cartridge, and so I noted that the Aurora Turquoise worked really well on this pen. So I wanted to try it in the Gravitas because the Faber-Castell ink was a little dry to see. It still seemed a little dry. It's like this pen needs wetter ink. It was better, but it would still hard start. And I believe when I filled it with this turquoise, I'd emptied the cartridge and I filled the cartridge with a syringe. And that cartridge had the same splitting issues that the cartridge that was in there had. So it splits right here. And so I ended up with ink dumped in the got Serenity Blue in it right now because I was trying, and even that seems a little dry, but it ended up with ink in here. So I put a converter from Kaweco Sport in it, which makes a pen that already has a very small ink capacity have an even smaller ink capacity. So I'm not really thrilled with that. But I think the converter has, I ordered another converter. Actually, I need this converter for later. I think the converter itself is just a little bit more sturdy on the neck. So, but I mean, look at this. This is no ink, right? It's like no ink. Even the cartridge, like I would much rather use a cartridge because it's significantly more ink. And having a pocket pen that's a flex that has this much of an ink capacity is it's kind of silly, frankly, because I mean, this could be like 2 pages of writing in a flex pen. And this one doesn't flex like, it's not like crazy flexy, but it's flexy enough to use up some ink. So it's a bad combination of little tiny bitty ink and pocket pen. So I don't know how I feel about that. The turquoise did work better though. This was a better combination. This is a new pen. It is a Ikaku, and I can't look at this and say narwhal, but I know I need to. Narwhal with a Regalia cross-flex nib that I originally filled with Diamine Majestic Blue, and this is the first time I wrote with it. And I've used a lot of flex pens, but I have not used a flex pen that is a wet noodle. And this is a wet noodle, and I sort of hated it when I first got it, but now I've been forcing myself to practice writing with it, starting to come to an understanding with it. But this writing that you see, let me find a more current writing sample from this that doesn't have anything crazy. So this is how I'm writing with it now. We're getting along much better. This is also not as wet of an ink. This is Waterman Serenity Blue. But that's how this writes with very little effort. Whereas the flex pens that I use on a normal day-to-day basis, the flexing is usually around this. So it's a significantly bigger flex. And since I'm being chatty, I'll just say that I've been doing these practice sheets too, and I'm terrible at it. I'm terrible. Anyway, I've been doing these practice sheets, and this width is just not even barely pressing. It's just, when I fill it, I'll write with it for a little bit to show you guys. It's insanity. It's fun, but it's a challenge. It's not just like, oh, I got a new pen and I'm gonna write a whole bunch of stuff and it's gonna be fun. It was intimidating and difficult to deal with, and also scared me that I made a huge mistake buying it, but I don't think I did. I'm feeling better about it now. But based on this and how this wrote, I was not feeling great right there. Not feeling great. This is a pen, Lamy Joy. The Joy is the long, crazy one. This is a pen that I inked for 30 days, 30 inks. This was during the Rainbow Week. I like how this ink works in this pen. I'm not a huge fan of this form factor, especially just to be fussy, but I like to keep all my inked pens in this container. And these stick out. All of these long ones stick out and kind of bug me. Still in there, they're stable, but I don't like how they stick out. Anyway, so this is one of the pens that once I use up this ink, will probably clean out and then store. I won't get rid of it, but I may just store it. My Pilot Falcon. I am giving this pen about another month before I am going to force myself to make a decision about whether or not I want to keep it. I don't like this ink, how this ink works or writes, and I don't like lighter ink in this pen. So when I'm done using this, I think what I'm going to do is try something very dark, like Birmingham Pen Company. I might put Bearing Grease in there or one of the darker grays, but I want to try something dark because I do like this stark contrast between like those razor, super thin lines that this pen is capable of and a dark, dark color. So that may make me like it, maybe. I don't like this though. This was not a happy combination for me. But what was a happy combination for me was, this was a new pen again. It's just a little sport. I decided during the 30 inks, 30 days that I really enjoyed writing with this Hongdian pen. And the reason that and this is the Hongdian pen again, from a previous inking. The reason I really liked writing with this Hongdian pen is it's a bold line, and I like doing print with a bold nib. So sports are relatively inexpensive, and I kind of like this creamed coffee color, and I didn't have a sport yet. And the reason I bought this pen is because I didn't have a pocket pen, and now I have 3 others, but that's okay. I love this ink combination. I don't necessarily like the blue with this color pen, frankly. I don't necessarily match my inks and pens together that often, but when they're this different, it kind of, dark blue or bright blue and this neutral, I'm not really a fan. I think I like it better in the black. But this nib, let's just say this nib and this ink together, love it so much. Shading, how it flowed. This was something I used quite a bit during the month, and it's got to be close to used up at this point. Yeah, I think it's empty. It needs to get cleaned. It's totally pushed in, so that actually needs to go in the pile too. But I did very much like that ink. In the pile. Okay, this next pen. Okay, this pen, once I found out that there were inexpensive pens available. This is an Asvine. Anyway, this is an Asvine pen that I bought off of Amazon, and I got it because it's a cool silver thing. This thing is the heaviest pen I own. It weighs so much, and it is a vacuum filler, which I'm not super thrilled with. It's comfortable though. Like, if it's not posted, the weight's not bad, but it's just a medium nib. I'm not really super into medium nibs, and the pen is big. This was inked because of 30 inks, 30 days. I mean, it's pretty enough, I guess. I will likely clean it and store it once I use this up. And it does write much better than this. It's just, I don't always remember to use a paper, and that's from hand oils, I'm sure. Let me see if I've used it in my journal in a writing section where I'm not cursing up a storm about something. That is the trick. Yeah, this is This is me complaining about not having time to do something on YouTube. So, not bad. I mean, this is how it writes normally. It's nothing, it's not terrible. It's nothing terribly exciting either. Much better than what is indicated here. So this sheet, I will have to move. This is one of the permanently inked pens, so I don't have to do that. I'm gonna wait on this because I got a nib for this that I'm gonna try swapping out, and I'm gonna de-ink it to do that. So I'm gonna ignore those two. This is one of the permanently inked pens here, so that's not gonna get moved. So then we're down to another permanently inked pen that I'm not gonna move. So I'll have to put this one and this one on a new sheet. And also this one, assuming there's enough ink left in here. I'll have to check it before I move it. This one actually is empty. I need to put that on there. This one is this one at the bottom. And then I believe that, and then my Falcon. I'll have to check and see. So let's check before I go through moving it and make sure that there's enough ink to warrant moving it. And I think, yeah. So I'll move. This one I will move. And I can see that there's enough ink in this one to move. And I'm fairly sure that this one has enough ink in it to move. Yeah, there's plenty of ink in there. Should use that one more. So there's these three pens. This one has probably a quarter left. So yeah, that one's fine. That can get moved to a new sheet. And this is the orange Tiger Lily. That is empty, is it? All right, well, I'm not gonna move that one because that one is, yeah, there's a little left in there. Maybe I will move it. I'll move it. I'll move it. I'll move it. I'll move it. Okay. So these 5 I'm moving. These are empty. One last housekeeping thing I like to do if I'm going to be dealing with this many pens is I just go through and do a quick check to make sure that the rest of these pens that are here actually have ink. That one does. This one I just filled, so I know that does. This one, I'm thinking, because I got 2 new Jaipur version 2s. Fountain Pen Revolution had a sale, it was buy one, get one free. This version 1 Himalaya with the twist, the outside twist, this one leaks a lot for me, so I think I'm going to de-ink this and store it. I'm gonna put it there. The Hungdian. I have a lot more shimmer inks in rotation right now because I did a week of shimmers for the 30 inks, 30 days. That one's still got enough in there. I don't need to worry about that one running out. This shimmer is beautiful. So this one, these 3 are good. This is the one that I got a nib. I heard you can replace the precision nib with, if you pull it out, with a 580 housing. So I got a bold. So I'm gonna see if I can do that. So I'm just gonna leave this for now. This pen I'm gonna de-ink once it's empty as well. And it may be what is left in here. Anything? Nope, it's empty. This did have tangerine in it. So I'm gonna clean this out and I'm gonna put it over there. I have enough other pens. Okay, this one has Birmingham Pen Company Ladybug in it, and there is quite a bit left in there. So that can stay. This has Birmingham Pen Company's Aqueduct, also pretty. And there's enough in there that I won't run out of that for a little bit. This has Kobe Pearl Silver in it. And this is, yeah, there's enough. I only use this for titles because it's such a broad stub. It's the 2.4 millimeter. But I should run out of that soon. I thought I'd gotten another converter for that, so I didn't have to fill cartridges. Maybe not. Maybe not. That's okay. And then this is the very first pen I ever, well, no, let me take that back. This is the oldest pen that I have that I use. It's an art pen, bought it in the 90s. Complained about it a lot in the 30 inks 30 days video. It actually, these ridges aren't that bad. They're not great. They're not as bad as I remember. But this is just a medium point, which is kind of, eh. I could swear I had this in a calligraphy at one point. Maybe this is the second one that I bought, but it's just a medium. I'll likely de-ink this once it's done, but there's quite a bit left in there, and I've been using it a lot. I won't get rid of it, but I may de-ink it. All right, so these are the pens that I need to move onto a new sheet. And these are the pens I need to clean and store or fill. So, all right, let me do some housekeeping here. I'm going to put tape on the pens that have been moved to the permanently inked sheet because I often glance down the side to see what's inked, and I don't need to have that information in two places. So go ahead and tape off this. There. Where are my smithers? Okay, and this is also on the permanently inked sheet. So this whole sheet is gone. Then this is on the permanently inked sheet. Those two, this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that I'm moving. This one is empty, so I can, tempted to put that blue guitar in there again, but I am going to pick something else. I'm trying to use pens when I do ink reviews and actually fill a pen with ink instead of dipping. So I'm trying to keep that in mind as I think about what I'm going to be filling these pens with, because I would like to you know, kind of plan out what I'm gonna potentially review next. Okay, so let's grab a new sheet. Just wanna just relax. The past couple of months have been a little much. What do you guys think? Have your last couple months been a little much? I feel like mine have been a little much. Little much. Okay, so let's do the Lemmy Safari. Should probably shake it a little bit. It's a shimmer. Shake it a little bit. Is a Lemmy Safari. Right, so I have a white one that's maybe getting a new nib. 1.5. It's one of the 4 nibs that I am looking at doing a video about. Vinta. And four, and this it's pretty ink. I like the rose gold shimmer, and the blue black colors complements it really well. The darker shimmer, I do like it. Okay, so that's been moved. So I'm just going to write moved. Moved. I'll write it on all these. Moved. 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 Okay. Then we have the Noodlers, also a shimmer. Like I said, shimmer heavy last month because of that 30 inks that I did. And there'll be another one next month that's coming up soon. I need to figure out what I want to do for that. Okay, this is the Noodlers. And I don't know why I'm writing the color. This is the, I usually only do that when I have multiple of the same model of pen, so I can keep track. Like I have more than one Safari, so it makes sense, but I only have one Ahab, so it doesn't make sense to write it down. But Vinta, Kiss That. A Venice exclusive. Sodalite Shimmer is also part of the name. These Vinta inks have long names. This is from 49, 24. I'm not sure if I'll ink that again after it's out. Maybe, but this one I definitely will. This I keep shimmer in, so that will be re-inked. Next on here is the Lemmy Joy 1.1 Lemmy. That's another thing I don't really like about this pen. You hear it squeaking? Not really liking the squeaks. You hear that? Yeah. Ugh. I forgot this thing squeaked until I started writing with it. Yeah, it's not pleasant. I do like the shading on this orange though. I like the shading on this orange, and I like that it has, much like tiger lilies do, there's sort of just this underlying grunge to it. You can see it more on the bigger samples where some of that happens. So this, I'm going to de-ink when I'm done with this ink. And I know that this is getting low too, so I've made a mental note to myself to try to use this when I journal tonight, or if I have to take notes on something. So that'll get used up soon, I'm sure. Pilot Falcon. Oof. I wanna de-ink this and try. I just don't like this ink. I don't like it. Soft, extra fine. Fine. Nib. I don't know why. I love blue purples. This one, I don't see, it's so dry. Just doesn't, and don't like this ink. I had not great luck with color verse inks, honestly, in general. Maybe because it's so light, it makes me feel like I have to write harder, which I'm not, because this isn't a flex nib. You can't go crazy with this. But it's, I hate even moving it. But I'm stubborn. I don't de-ink stuff unless I'm forced to. I mean, I could just need to accept the fact that maybe anything with an extra fine, even if it's a soft extra fine, is not my thing. Which is, you know, the way it goes. Some things are some people's things and some things are not their things. And then this heavy guy here. This is a Asfine. Yeah, it's been, I haven't written with it in a little bit. Oh, and it's a vacuum filler. And I don't know if I like vacuum fillers. I like watching them. The Instagram thing where they suck up the ink. I haven't seen a lot of those. Okay, well, why are we not writing here? Why aren't you writing? How open do we need to be? See, like, and I don't really know what to do with these vacuum fillers. What do I do now? Do I do this? I don't know what to do. There's definitely ink in there. How do you do this? I guess I can. Oh, well, that works. Got it now. All right, so that. Fussy. Yeah, this is definitely. Now it's like not screwing on right. This is definitely getting de-inked. Crazy. What are you doing over there? And I want to try this ink in a different pen because it looks beautiful whenever I see anyone else use it but me. All right, that's fine. No, it's just too much ink. V 169 back. Hello, sir. Tom's. Are you visiting? Where are you going? Got some clicky nails. Damson. Back to flop. 4, 21, 24. Definitely de-inking this. Don't enjoy it. All right, there's the pens that I needed to move. So de-inking and de-inking. Want to do a dark ink in this once it's done. This will get the same or another shimmer. I'm on the fence about this. May de-ink it and store it, or may put another shimmer in it. So that means I can take this sheet and I can archive it into my pen book, the book of pen stuff. And that put us right to that. Okay. So I guess that was more of a review of last month. So it's less currently inked and more, I don't know if I can really do a traditional currently inked. Because this is moved to the permanently inked sheet, I'm gonna put a piece of tape on here. Snails. Actually, I'm gonna do that with a few things. So that's that. And then it's also these 3, because this Parker 14 is on my permanently inked because I always use that ink. It is a vintage pen with an ink sac, and I am trying to be careful to not put any inks in there that will damage it, though I've heard a lot of people say it's usually not a big deal. I'm just sticking with the J Herbon. I like that color. This pen is still inked. This is Birmingham Pen Company's Triumph Tulip Twinkle. It's beautiful shimmer. The purple is really pretty. I enjoy this a lot. This is a nice combination. That's, again, this Hongdian N23 pen, which I like way more than I thought I would. And then this is the one that I'm maybe going to clean and store after I clean this out. It does have a 5.5. I'm thinking about, I don't know, we'll see. And then this Fountain Pen Revolution Himalaya version 2 Cabernet on the Lake, that is the first pen here that I have to clean. And so this is one that we're gonna have to pick a color for. It is empty. It had a shimmer in it, so I've got to keep that in mind. So that's pen number 1, but it is empty, so it can get some tape. It can get some tape. So on this whole page, I only have these 3 pens, really, if we leave out the permanently inked pens. Okay, flip. All right, the art pen is this one right here. This is the one I said I'm likely going to clean out and store. This is a new Coeco Sport. It's another double bold pen. And it has Iroshizuku Kujaku. And it's got plenty left. So this is pretty color though. Pretty color, like how it works. I feel like this Sport the nib is not as nice as on this sport. They're still both good, but this one is a little scratchier than this one. Not enough to be terrible, but okay. And this is this Jinhao. This I'm going to clean and store. So I'm going to put that over here, and we can put a piece of tape. I see you. This pen, this is one of the new Himalayas I got. This has Birmingham Pen Company Magnolia Mirage in it. I just filled it for the second time, which is why it's got the little X. The review of this ink is encoding for the second time right now. First time it only encoded 8 minutes. So now it's encoding again. This is a great ink. I really like it in this pen a lot. I won't go into it too much because if you watch my other video, you're probably sick of hearing me even mention it. This is A+, like it a lot. Then the Aqueduct, that's in this one. This is also a really nice ink. I like how it works a lot. I ended up last month, I used to keep a gray ink in one of these, because remember I bought 2 of these, the same color, like a genius. I used to keep gray in one and a color in the other. Well, now they're both going to be colors, and I'm going to keep my gray ink in this white pen. It is the second of the 2 Himalayas I bought, because that'll keep it separated out more, and because gray is what I use in my planner the most, I just kind of like how it looks in there too, because it's usually where I keep this pen. But one of these is empty, one that had lost in it. Okay. There's still plenty of ink in this though, so I don't need to mark that off. This still has ink. This is the Ladybug right here. I did have another TWSBI Eco. I have this black one. This is one of my permanently inked pens. This is what I used to sign stuff and write checks. I had a teal TWSBI Eco that I kept J. Herbon's Vert Empire in, and I had moved it like 6 sheets. I've moved it so much. I was watching the Goulet Pencast, and Drew was on there talking about how he didn't like TWSBI Ecos because the ink capacity was too big. And I didn't realize it until he said it, but I 100% agree. I cannot stand having the same ink in a pen, except for this black or whatever, for months and months and months. Even the pens that I use, the pens that are permanently inked and I use the same ink, I like to change it out. I like to refill it. I don't know. There's something that bugs me about that much ink capacity. So that being said, I cleaned this pen out. I got rid of the Vert Empire that was in there probably for 3 years. I don't know, way too long. I broke down, cleaned it out. I had my husband pick out any ink he wanted, and I filled it, and I said, here you go. So now he has 2 pens. He's very fancy. Okay, Gravitas pen. This one is, did I say this was empty? So to troubleshoot these 2 pens, I got a bottle of Serenity Blue, and I agree it's a good ink to use in a new pen test, and it's a good ink to troubleshoot and see what's happening. I guess there's still ink in there. I'll leave it. So this pen with Serenity Blue does write a good bit better, but it's still dry. It's still dry. So I think when I fill this next, I'm going to try Earl Grey or Writer's Blood, because I feel like both of those are quite wet. Possibly wetter than Serenity Blue. Serenity Blue, it's nice because it has a little bit of shading, this bottle right here. And it's inexpensive. It's like $10 for this bottle. And it does the cool thing where as it gets low, you can tip the bottle so that it's easier to get to the ink. And it washes pretty easily out of pens. So I'm not saying that you have to follow everybody else and use Serenity Blue, but I do think having a very good baseline ink that you can test your pens with if they're giving you problems is a smart move. And I should have done that before now for sure. And I also put it in this Akaku Narwhal because it was giving me some problems. The first ink I put in it was the Diamine Majestic Blue, which is a heavy sheening ink. And those can sometimes be problematic. And then the next ink I put in it was Waringal Lost, which had been working well in other pens. And I was still having some railroading problems. And then I put this Serenity Blue in it. And I think not only did the Serenity Blue help, but you have to write very slow with this pen. Much slower than I was writing with it because of how massively far that flex will go. But that being said, I think I'm going to try a little bit wetter ink in it. So I will probably do Writer's Blood in the Gravitas, and I'll do Earl Grey in this. I'm going to try Earl Grey in this next. This needs to get filled though, so that goes right here. And I can put tape on this, and I can put tape on that too because I gave it to my husband. I'm not going to expect it back, nor do I mind if it doesn't come back. This teal is one of his favorite colors. He really just, I told him, you need to do me a favor and take this pen off my hands. He's like, how is that doing you a favor? I'm like, because then I won't have to keep this Herbon ink in it for the next 3 years because I did make myself use it a little bit, but it's just never going to go through that huge capacity. I mean, it's funny because some people are probably like, if I had to change ink in pens this much, I would just quit. Where I feel the opposite. If I never have to change inks, what's the point? So that about covers the review of pens and housekeeping to get ready for June's Currently Inked. Thanks so much for sticking around to the end. Part 2, which covers selecting inks for pens in June's Currently Inked, will be out soon. But until then, I really appreciate you spending time with me today. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I can't wait to see you for the next one. Bye!